Zombies, ghosts, and monsters, other creatures of the night, they might be scary, but they're nothing compared to the horrors of poor estate planning. Hi, Nancy Beauvair here, founder of NEXsteps and certified executor advisor. This time of year, we all enjoy a good scare, but those end when the sun comes up the next day. But some nightmares don't end when you wake up. And those are the nightmares that happen because of poor or non-existent estate planning. This week, in the spirit of Halloween, I thought that I would talk about estate planning nightmares. And believe me, there are a ton of them. The thing that I have found the most is that when people are thinking about estate planning, they get their mind wrapped around death. They're only thinking about what happens after they pass away. And that is a key component. Of course, you want to make sure that you've taken care of things so that when you pass away, your loved ones are taken care of and that they know where to find things and take care of managing what you left for them. But there's another horror story, and that happens when you don't pass away, but you become incapacitated. None of us wakes up in the morning knowing that that's the day that we're going to get into a life-threatening accident or have some kind of a medical emergency that leaves us in a position where we're unable to speak, that we're unable to have anybody take care of our affairs for us, when we can't talk about what our desires are, how we would like our medical care to be managed. That to me is even more frightening for the person who should be doing the planning than the actual stuff that happens after death. Because let's face it, after death, you're not there to pick up the pieces. You're leaving a mess for people that you love, but you're not there. But what if you're in a coma? What if you are unable to take care of things and you haven't created your documents, your essential estate planning documents? If you don't have an enduring power of attorney where you've named somebody and given them the legal authority to pay bills on your behalf, to access investment accounts and bank accounts, to make sure that life goes on and that your mortgage is paid, your rent is paid, groceries are purchased for your children. What happens if you haven't created that? Beyond that, what happens when you're laying there in that hospital bed and you're on different tubes and things are coming out of you, and perhaps you didn't want to live like that. Maybe you wanted them to pull the plug, but you never put that into a medical directive. Now you've left your partner, your spouse, your family member, whoever, struggling with those decisions and having to live with the guilt of making a decision without you having named that, so that helps ease it. I mean, let's face it. If you are named on somebody's medical directive to make those decisions, it's still a hard enough decision for you to say, no, we're going to let them go. And you still think about that every day of the rest of your life. But imagine if you don't have that guiding document that tells you that this was what their wish was and that you were abiding by their wishes. And of course, also in those essential estate planning documents is your will. Now, your will is going to tell people who gets what. It's going to make sure that you don't die intestate and that the courts in your jurisdiction aren't taking over your assets, tying things up, taking even longer than it already takes to settle an estate, forcing your family members to come to court and petition for the right to administer your estate, or even worse, finding somebody, some relative of yours, who you don't think knew anything about what your wishes would have been, who would not have been good at managing your estate. But the court finds them and the court names them as administrator. You worked to provide a legacy for your family, a financial legacy for your family, and suddenly it's not going to them. Those are the nightmares that you should worry about keeping you up, not the ghosts and the goblins. I want to share a quick little story just to demonstrate how this can happen to anyone. My youngest brother had a friend who was out working on a job site out in a rural area. After the day's work was done, he was having a couple of beers with his buddies, and on his way back to his trailer, he slipped and fell and banged his head. He woke up in the morning and he still had this headache. He went to the hospital and they checked him over and sent him on his way. Said that he had a concussion, but that he was probably going to be fine. Well, he wasn't fine. He died. And the mess that was uncovered with that untimely death was just incredible. He had one child, and that child was left to try to sort out a huge mess. He hadn't filed his taxes for 5 years. He hadn't removed a common law partner that he'd been broken up with for 12 years off the title of his property. He hadn't signed a power of attorney to anybody. He hadn't done a will. It was a huge entanglement, a huge stress, a huge worry. This poor child in her early 20s, and she was left scrambling. She didn't know what to do, where to start, how to do anything. Don't let that be your story. As I mentioned, I'm a certified executor advisor. I help people with this every day. I help them make sure that their planning is in place and that we go beyond just these simple core essential documents. True estate planning is making sure that you're also sheltering your assets from taxes down the road, making sure that you're doing your planning in such a way that you are paying less taxes legitimately at the time of your passing and leaving more of your legacy for your family and your loved ones. In addition to that, if you are an executor and you don't know where to start, you're having some confusion, there's so many things that an executor has to do. I can help walk you through that as well. If you're liking my content, please share it and consider liking the videos and subscribing. That makes sure that YouTube recommends my content to other people just like you. So it would help others find this information as well. As always, I've got an article over on my website. I've got the link in the description box here. I've got some different examples in there about some estate planning nightmares, and don't let those happen to you. Thanks for joining me this week. I look forward to sharing more with you again next time. Bye for now.